Hello. You know, we started as a cattle, well, not completely, but we grew into a cattle country. Back in the old days, remember you got hung if you stole someone else's cattle. Uh, Cattle rustlers, cattle ranchers, and all that were all over the United States. Uh, yeah. Now I know you're saying, "What the hell is he talking about?" I know. Let me get there. If you watch my videos, you know I will. Uh, Yeah, and the only reason I bring it up is because when you see cattle today, uh, you mainly you see like a whole paddock of them, and they get funneled down into a smaller chute, a long line, and they either go on a truck or they go into the slaughterhouse, one at a time. They have like 100 cattle behind them, but they go through the chute and they get to go onto the truck where they go to another chute, and then they get to the slaughterhouse. Uh, and that's how they manage the the, the cows, the steer. Uh, because it'd be impossible to do one at a time, or without the chutes, it'd be very hard. And they use that same technology. Remember, we started as a cattle country. So it wasn't like they reinvented the wheel. You know, uh, like a bunch of kids. You have like I don't know how many kids parents have in a year, and they go to kindergarten and then they go to first grade and so on and so forth. And that's the paddock behind the chute, but it's always getting closer, When they're younger and they're in the kindergarten age, the chute is pretty big. It's a paddock, it's not really a chute. But as you get older, they start separating you like they do steer, which ones weigh the most or which ones look the healthiest, which ones do they want to use for breeding and not kill, stuff like that. So they do that with humans, you know, which one got the good grades, which one didn't cause any trouble. That's the one we want to breed. They want to pass down those genes, um, thinking they'll have kids that will get good grades and won't cause trouble. And the ones that do cause trouble go off to the side to that chute, and they go to the slaughterhouse, you know and we don't want to breed them, we want to eat them. So that's the metaphor I'm trying to create of how our country uh, is run. You know, if you're a troublemaker, if you don't follow the rules, if you don't let them break you when you're a child, uh, gelding again, like my gelding video, uh, if you don't let them geld you, then they're going to send you to the slaughterhouse. And that means you're going to jail, or you're going to be digging ditches for the rest of your life. That's the scenario they sell you, at least. Uh, and the whole scenario of all this, and same with the cows, is survival is the goal. If you survive to 70, you survive to 80, then you kind of won the prize of your life. And you could work up until your dying day when you're 80, but you survived to 80, so you won the prize. You got the blue ribbon, which isn't true. You don't really get the blue ribbon because uh, I don't believe anybody who works until they're 80 is actually winning at anything. Uh, they're a slave and they've been a slave for 80 years. And it's just a scenario, the metaphor they're trying to put on you, the brainwashing they're putting on you, the indoctrination they're putting on you, that the goal is survival, not not to excel beyond that. You know, for the cows, they they want to go in the breeding pool. They don't want to go in the slaughterhouse pool. Most end up in the slaughterhouse pool. Like humans, most end up in the slaughterhouse pool. And jails are much bigger than an office IVM. You know, the IVM office is small compared to jails in this country, and the IVM is the breeding pool, and the jails is the slaughterhouse. So they divert you that way. And you know, see, with me, I never got in the when I was in the corral when I was young, but I really wasn't. I had a much different upbringing when I was young. For one, I didn't go to kindergarten. I was too smart for kindergarten. When I went to kindergarten, I was only there a week, and they said, "Oh, you can't stay here. Uh, you have to." They put me right into first grade, and the next week I went to school. I was in first grade, not kindergarten. So I totally skipped over kindergarten, and that's kind of unheard of. Most people don't do that, uh, but I did, and it was the beginning of the beginning of the beginning, you know. And I just, oh, so I was the smart cow that broke out of the corral, the one they save and put on a farm, and let him do what he wants for the rest of his life, and they don't eat him. You know, I go onto John Stewart's farm or something, and live out my life. You know, I'm the one that ran down the street, and the cops were chasing me, and they did chase me, and I did run down the street, and you know, I dropped out of junior high school. I dropped out of school at 14. Uh, you know, went back for my GED at 19. I was in eighth grade when I dropped out, and got a 4-year degree from Hofstra, a 2-year degree from Nassau Community College, all in accounting. And you know, I didn't go because I wanted to work. The reason I went into accounting is money, and you can work from home. And I wanted to raise my kids. At that point, I still wanted kids. I don't have any kids. I wanted kids at that point, and I wanted to be a stay-at-home dad and take care of them, raise my kids. And with accounting, I could do that. And but it didn't work out. I did work from home, but I don't have a wife and kids. So, but and I haven't dated a woman in 20, 26, 25 years, 26 years, and that's fine. Probably why I'm so sane. But you know, it's just, but back to the metaphor. It's just you're in the corral. You're if you're on a job, you're in the breeding corral. If you're in jail, you're in the slaughterhouse corral. And you know, if you don't behave yourself in the breeding corral, you know, they put you in the slaughterhouse corral right away. That's no problem. They'll do that to you in a minute, you know. But I'm on the farm, so I can do what I want. I can act up, but I stay on the farm, and that's the difference. You know, I'm a farm cow, and they'll never put me in the slaughterhouse. That's just not happening. So, but you, still a possibility. You know, we'll have to wait and see. Uh, but that's how they keep you in line. You know, and that's how they keep you going to work every day because you're like, I don't want to end up in the slaughterhouse. You know, and the slaughterhouse is welfare, the psych wards, you know, all that stuff. But uh, unemployment, where you can never get a job, you know. Uh, COVID was the slaughterhouse. You know, if you got COVID, you were in the slaughterhouse, stuff like that. They tried to put more people in the slaughterhouse with the vaccines that killed people, and they forced it on you, and that was a way of putting more people in the slaughterhouse. They have to put a lot of people in the slaughterhouse because there's just they don't need the breeders. There's enough breeders. They don't need any more breeders, you know. And there's only so much grass and hay, and if they don't slaughter the cows, then they'll run out of hay and they'll all die. And the meat business will be gone, which is the school business, the jail business will be gone. So, uh, I don't know. It's just, I want to say consider yourself lucky to be in the breeders pool, but you're really not. You're really not lucky. Uh, you're not in control of your kids. Your kids go to school and they tell you what to do with your kids. They tell you what to wear, what to buy them, what the school requires. When your kid acts up or does anything, they call you at 2 o'clock in the afternoon at your job, and you got to come get them and all that stuff. And you really don't. You're the sperm donor, but the government's the father and mother. 'Cause if you don't act the right way or do what they want you to do, they'll find another father and mother to raise your kids, no problem. So, it's this, the days of slavery where they would take the babies away and sell them. We're not much different than that now. Uh, they call it foster care, that's all. And they don't treat them very well either because they get paid to take care of your kids. And they're just money, they're just financial. And they don't care. And, so if you don't care, nobody's going to care. That's the bottom line. Life is not a box of cherries, more like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're going to get. And I don't know. You don't know how to escape the corral like I did. And I can't tell you how to do it because whatever I did is gone. The way I used has been closed down and shut down, and nobody can go that way anymore. And if they do, they'll be put back in the slaughterhouse. And that'll be the end of them. They learned from me, or at least they think they did, but how to stop people from becoming me. And you can never be me. You can't copy me. I'm irreplaceable, and you'll never have another me. And that's fine. I don't think you should want, and you yourself should not want to be me. You should want to be you, and you should want to be the free you, the out of the corral you, and whatever that means, whatever that amounts to, uh, that doesn't matter. As long as you're free, there's nothing they can do to you. And your problem is you're a puppet with a lot of strings on you, and they just pull a string, and like a chain reaction, all the other strings go with it. So if you lose your job, you lose your kids, you lose your house, you lose your car, all the strings go with it. So, you know, I don't have a job, I don't have a car, I don't have a house, I don't have kids. I have no strings by design. So, and I know it's hard for you to, they want you to have the iPad, they want you to have the computer, they want you to have the car, because that makes you go to work to pay for them. And you got to pay for the house to keep the car in the garage. If you have an electric car, you have to keep the house so you can plug it in. And you have to pay for the electric. So it's just a constant, continual thing that makes you go to work. They want you to go to work because they make tax dollars off of your work. They supply the people who think they have real power with money, and they don't have power. It's all illusionary. It's a Musk doesn't have power, and now he's a trillionaire. He was, and he don't have any power. He sleeps on a couch. I mean, so it's all illusions. It's all make believe. You know, and if you believe, then it's real. But If you don't, then it has no power over you. And I don't believe I need a car. I don't believe I need a house. I don't have to own my house. Uh, I definitely don't want kids. The people that don't have kids usually have nephews and nieces, and that's why they don't have kids. And I have nephews and nieces, and I don't want kids. You know, I like handing them back when I'm done and going home alone. So, it's just uh, don't regret what you don't have. Be appreciative of what you do have. And your life will be much better. You know, I got a ribeye steak in the fridge. I'm gonna cook it later. It's gonna be good. I got some asparagus. I got some mushrooms. I'm gonna cook a nice dinner on my Ninja grill. Who's got it better? Who's got it better than me? You know, it's easy to clean, easy to cook. You know, I don't want for much, and I'm happy with less. So.